Morning, Pyrrho. Yeah, I take your point, what you're saying, but it seems to me we've arrived back at this idea that that will or choice, those kind of decision making, are a part of a felt sense. I mean, I guess one of the things I'm taking from what you were saying is this thing about the illusion of will or the illusion of choice, which you attribute to fighter planes working on autopilot, and I suggest that could equally apply to human beings. The illusion of choice, in which case, yes, you have to explain the illusion. We do get this strong feeling, or we might get this strong feeling, that we are succumbing to our own intentional actions, and we are making choices, and we are working under individual free will of some kind, however limited. But what I think you're saying there, and which I'm in agreement with, is that we don't actually need to explain free will at all. We just need to explain why we have the illusion of free will, and that's something I'll completely concur with you on. Our perceptions of the way the world works, and our speculations about how we as an embodied psychology work. As I said before, I think they do throw up. They do construct kind of paradigms, they do throw up artifacts which feel completely convincing to us, but those artifacts aren't necessarily real. But it's interesting to explain them, for the same reason it's interesting to explain things like beliefs and so on. Okay, the interesting example you gave, which is this sunrise thing, which you've mentioned before. Yeah, we can't deny the fact that we experience the sunrise in a kind of analogous way that we experience making choices as part of our will. We experience the sunrise, we experience the sun move across the sky and setting, even though we know somehow that that's not what's happening, or that's not a complete description of what's happening. But there's something interesting there, I think, isn't there? Because that assumption, that completely embodied assumption and sensation and experience is based on a misunderstanding, as I think it's fair to say. There's that thing about Wittgenstein where he has that conversation about, what someone said to him, I think, why did people, he said to someone, why did people believe that the sun moved across the sky, and the person said, well, because it looks that way. And he is supposed to have said, well, what would it look like if it looked like the sun was stationary and the earth was moving? And of course it would look exactly the same. But the point is with that, I think, is that it's not about what it looks like, it's what we think it should feel like. You know what I mean? It's yes, the sun looks as if it's moving across the sky, but that illusion is supported by the fact that the earth feels like it's stationary. If we felt the earth moving, if we felt it spinning under our feet, then it wouldn't look like that. It would look like the earth was stationary and we were whirling past it. And a lot of fairground rides are based on exactly that illusion. But there is a second level to that, isn't there? The fact is we don't feel the movement at all. We can't feel movement. We only feel acceleration and deceleration and changes in direction. So we don't actually feel movement at all. We just think we can. So in that sense, movement itself has something of the same kind of spectral quality as will, or as some of the other things we've talked about. It feels completely intuitively right that there is this thing called movement which we can feel, and if it was present under our feet right now, we would feel as if the earth was in motion and the sun was moving across the sky. But the fact is, the earth is moving and we don't feel it because our understanding of what movement is wrong. Our completely embodied intuitive understanding of movement is based on what it's like to grow up in a planet like this, where there are things like friction, and where there are things like wind resistance, and where all movement is accompanied by acceleration and deceleration and changes in directions. All the movement that we come across and all of our own movements are accompanied by those things, which doesn't apply to movements of things like planets in the same way, certainly. So I think, I don't think I've made any sense here, actually, never mind. So this idea of movement as an example of an embodied aspect of the physical world, I think is somewhat analogous to will in the way that you're using it. We have the appearance of an absence of movement here, but what we speculate movement would feel like is incorrect, because we don't feel movement, as I've said. And the same kinds of incorrect logics apply to the idea of will and choice. Not only are we hallucinating it, or potentially hallucinating it, having it as an illusion, but the way we imagine it, I think, would probably be incorrect as well, because it's coming out of a paradigm which is ultimately ground-based, earth-based, medium-scale, Newtonian, folk physics kind of thing. That makes sense? Anyway, I hope so.